It's 1934, and a man walks into a bank wearing a suit and a charming smile. Within minutes, he's walking out with thousands of dollars, leaving behind nothing but amazed witnesses and a calling card that reads, "Courtesy of John Dillinger." This wasn't just any criminal. This was America's first celebrity outlaw, a man so charismatic that people cheered for him, even as the FBI desperately hunted him down. John Herbert Dillinger was born on June 22, 1903, in Indianapolis, Indiana, into a world that would soon know his name in headlines across America. But who was the man behind the legend? How did a small-town boy become the most wanted criminal in the United States? And why do people still remember him nearly 90 years later? Dillinger's story isn't just about bank robberies and shootouts. It's about a man who captured America's imagination during the darkest days of the Great Depression. While millions struggled to put food on the table, Dillinger was stealing from the very banks that had foreclosed on their homes. To many, he wasn't just a criminal, he was a folk hero. Early life and first crimes. Growing up in Indianapolis, Dillinger seemed destined for trouble. His mother died when he was young, and his relationship with his strict father was strained. As a teenager, he was already getting into fights and minor trouble with the law. But it was a botched grocery store robbery in 1924 that truly set his path. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, a harsh punishment that would transform him from a petty criminal into something much more dangerous, the University of Crime. Prison became Dillinger's education in crime. Here, he met seasoned bank robbers like Harry Pierpont and Russell Clark, who taught him everything they knew. They planned elaborate heists, studied bank layouts, and dreamed of the perfect crimes. When Dillinger was paroled in 1933, he didn't just leave prison. He graduated with honors from what he called the University of Crime. The Dillinger Gang is born. Within months of his release, Dillinger had assembled one of the most notorious criminal gangs in American history. The Dillinger Gang didn't just rob banks, they did it with style. They were known for meticulous planning. They studied every detail of their targets. Gentlemanly conduct. Dillinger was polite to bank customers and employees. Daring escapes. They seemed to vanish into thin air after each heist. Media savvy. They understood the power of publicity. The Robin Hood of the Depression. What made Dillinger different was his timing and personality. During the Great Depression, banks were foreclosing on family farms and homes across America. When Dillinger robbed these same banks, many people saw him as getting revenge for the common man. He reportedly told customers during robberies, "We're here for the bank's money, not your money." And some witnesses claimed he was genuinely charming and apologetic about the inconvenience. The FBI's public enemy number one, J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, saw Dillinger as the perfect target to showcase the Bureau's effectiveness. The chase became personal, with Hoover dedicating enormous resources to capturing one man. This cat-and-mouse game played out in newspapers across the country, making both Dillinger and the FBI household names. The manhunt included a 10-0 reward, equivalent to about 200 today. Wanted posters in every post office. The first use of scientific crime detection methods. Cooperation between multiple law enforcement agencies. As the heat intensified, Dillinger underwent plastic surgery to change his appearance, even having his fingerprints altered. But these desperate measures showed that the glamorous life of crime was taking its toll. He was constantly on the run, unable to trust anyone, and paranoid about every shadow. The end came on July 22, 1934, outside the Biograph Theater in Chicago. Anna Sage, known as the Lady in Red, had tipped off the FBI about Dillinger's movie plans. As he emerged from watching Manhattan melodrama, ironically, a crime film, federal agents were waiting. The man who had escaped from jail twice and evaded capture for over a year was gunned down on a Chicago street. John Dillinger's criminal career lasted only about 14 months, but in that short time, he became an American legend. He robbed an estimated 24 banks and 4 police stations, stole around about $6 million in today's money, and captured the imagination of a nation struggling through its darkest economic period. But why do we still remember John Dillinger today? Perhaps it's because his story represents something uniquely American, The idea that even a criminal can become a folk hero if he's charming enough, bold enough, and fights against institutions that people see as corrupt or unfair. Dillinger died at age 31, but his legend grew larger in death than it ever was in life. Movies, books, and songs have immortalized his story. His grave in Indianapolis still attracts visitors, and the Biograph Theater has become a tourist destination. In the end, John Dillinger wasn't just a bank robber. He was a symbol of rebellion during one of America's most challenging times. Whether you see him as a dangerous criminal or a folk hero depends on your perspective, but there's no denying that he left an indelible mark on American culture. His story serves as a reminder that sometimes the most memorable people are those who refuse to follow the rules, even when, or especially when, the consequences are deadly. John Dillinger lived fast, died young, and left behind a legend that continues to fascinate us nearly a century later. "All I ever wanted was to be famous," Dillinger reportedly once said. In that, at least, he succeeded beyond his wildest dreams.